Hi guys, welcome to the first episode of Pop Review, where we're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So only one of us have seen that movie so far. I wonder if you can guess which one of us has seen it.
No, I'm not a midnight showing type of person unless it's like Pirates. So that doesn't come out for another few weeks. So.
Well, actually, it wasn't a midnight showing that I went to. I actually went to a double feature where they showed the first Guardians, and then we watched the second Guardians.
Oh, that's actually perfect, because I probably should brush up and watch the first one again. But I'm going at the drive-in, so that's going to be fun.
Ooh.
I know.
Fancy.
I know. So yeah, first of all, tell me, so I don't want any spoilers, but...
Yes, guys, this is a non-spoiler review.
Non-spoiler review. So tell me what you thought of the movie overall. Like, 1 to 10. Scale of 1 to 10. Thumbs up. Thumbs down.
Well, I think we should leave the score towards the end. But I will say overall my thoughts on the movie, that it's a very, very entertaining Marvel movie.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
So, but not as good as the first one. And I think this movie perfectly describes how hard sequels are to make. Mm-hmm. Because you have to the goal is to try to be better than the original. And this movie, unfortunately, didn't do that. Still enjoyable, still left really, really enjoying the movie, but it's just not as good as the first one. But I will say one of the first things I really, really loved about the second one is that the way they introduced it, and I don't want to spoil it, but the same way the first
scene,
one.
You mean? The first scene?
Well, not necessarily the first scene. This pretty much remember how
the story unfolds.
How Peter, when he got on the planet, and then we see the title and he's dancing, and we get that feel of like, all right, we're gonna have a good time.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
So they do a similar type of thing for the second one. Mm-hmm. So not exactly when the movie starts, when we actually get the title of the movie.
Okay.
So I don't want to spoil exactly how that happened, but again, you get the sense of, all right, we're in for a good old time with the same kind of characters we enjoyed from the first movie in this one.
So I heard the soundtrack was once again great, and you know me, I love my classic rock and my 80s and stuff. So
yes.
Soundtrack
good. Again, not as good as the original. Didn't leave humming any songs out of the theater like I did from the first one. But again, the soundtrack is great. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. Like, if I try to take the first one out of the picture, mm-hmm. the soundtrack for this one worked really, really well.
Okay. And so we saw in the trailer and in our trailer review of Guardians Volume 2 that it seemed to me that the story was sort of focused on, in terms of the team dynamic, that they were fighting, that they were that bad people were trying to pit them against each other to make them fall apart, and there's lies and deception, and maybe the family is, they're having a little trouble vibing. So did that come into play? Because they really hit that heavy, I feel like, in the trailer.
A little bit, and we did see a little, dysfunction amongst the team, especially with, this doesn't really spoil, with Rocket and Peter not getting along, trying to see, like, basically who's better than who, and we had that kind of male dynamic going on. And then there was
right?
Yeah, well,
raccoons, right?
Someone's got to lead the team. But what I did like a little bit was that there was a lot of pairing off in this movie. So we got a lot of Rocket and Yondu's that we kind of saw in the trailer. We see Nebula and Gamora a little bit with themselves. We saw Peter and his father Ego, which is not a spoiler. They say that in the trailer. Mm-hmm. And Drax and Mantis.
Okay. So, like, I guess I'm curious also, like, by the end of the film, like, are they setting it up for a third one? Do you feel...
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
And, sometimes it happens that the second one is weaker because you sort of have to... You're still reeling from the first and then almost have to, like, reset to get into the third. So maybe the third one will be, once again, just as good as the first. And there's
a lot of good cameos in this movie, which I won't spoil.
Oh, cameos!
Great cameos.
I'm so over cameos.
And there is a clear vision of exactly where this movie is going for Volume 3. I will say, though, in terms of the timeline, because I know a lot of people are confused in the timeline. So this movie takes place 3 months after the first Guardians takes place, but remember, the first Guardians took place in 2014. Mm-hmm. So this is taking place in 2014, not now.
So Donald Trump is not president, is what you're trying to tell me.
Basically, yes. Then.
All right. And then I'm interested.
Yes. So we do get to see Earth a little bit in this movie. A little bit more than we saw in the first one, but still, I would say like 97% of this movie takes place in the galaxy.
Okay. So I'm thinking like going into the third one, what they're gonna meet up with the Avengers type of thing. It's gonna be like a super ultimate like clash of the two teams.
Well, that's going to happen in Avengers: Infinity War. So
Oh,
they're going to meet
I
in
didn't know
that.
that. Oh, cool.
And we still don't know a release date of when Volume 3 is going to come out. We do know that James Gunn has announced that he's writing and directing Volume 3.
Okay.
So, like I said, when you see the movie, you'll see exactly there's a character that is we know exactly that he's going to be in the third one. I'm not going to say who, but
I probably won't
anyone
know,
who
but-
reads the comics will definitely know.
Not me. Another thing I'm curious about, is it funny?
Yes, it is very, very funny.
Because, like, sometimes, like, Zoolander 2 is a perfect example where it was the same characters, and those characters are hilarious, but they were doing the same jokes over and over, and, like, that was one concern that I had with this one, having not seen it yet, that, like, it's kind of like, okay, are they going to be, like, the same jokes?
No, not the same jokes. They make new jokes, especially because now
jokes.
Baby Groot is Baby Groot, so they kind of really play on Baby Groot. Like
Yeah.
there's moments when you're like, "Oh, look at Baby Groot," and you're like, "Oh, look at Baby Groot."
I just want to, like, crush his little wooden skull. Like, he's so cute. Just want to pop him.
But with the humor, I will say that some of it is a little forced.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel that about the first one, but
Right.
with this one, there are setups.
I was worried
that
about that,
pay off
too.
a little bit later on. But a lot of jokes, especially from Drax, who was hilarious in this movie. Some of his jokes were like spot on, great, but others are just like,
Or, like, could have done without it. type
I
of
don't
thing.
know if Drax would really say that, but it's fine. But so.
Yeah, I know
Some of the
exactly what
jokes
you mean.
just felt a little forced, but I was laughing throughout from moment one to moment, and I was laughing throughout the entire movie, and so was the audience I was in, too.
Okay, well, that's good.
But the movie's not perfect, so the problems I would say I had with this movie is pacing. Like the movie doesn't really get going until the third act. Like we get to meet Peter's father, and a lot of stuff we saw in the trailer pretty much happens in the beginning of the movie, which I love Marvel trailers because they don't really give us a lot. We didn't get a sense of who the villain was in the trailers.
Is it the gold people?
Well, I don't want to spoil.
Okay, that's fine.
They're there and they do play a part in the story.
Okay.
But I'm not going to say what part they play. They are there throughout the movie.
Okay, because they just look cool.
They look cool, and then there's a lot of interesting, funny scenes with them, especially how they. I would say go after the Guardians is kind of really, really hilarious. It kind of is a nice 80s trope.
Okay.
But the movie does have pacing problems. They take a long time of getting to the reason why the Guardians are doing what they're doing and what Ego is doing.
Yeah.
So with that being said, when they do get to it, you're like, all right, we're finally to the meat of it, but it takes a long time to get there.
Well, it seems to me that they've added some cast as well, so it just does probably seem like you have to spend a certain amount of time with each. Like you said, they split up, so you have to spend a certain amount of time with each of them, and every character is important, at least like the main, 5 or whatever. So you kind of have to be paying attention to their arcs and like make sure that they're all, moving forward. And so I can see how maybe that would cause pacing problems just because there's so many characters now, and like you have to be in so many different places and see so many things happening. So I can kind of see how that would be a problem.
But we do get a good sense of Mantis. We get a sense of her powers, how they work. Mm-hmm. We get a sense of Ego. We get a sense of Nebula. Mm-hmm. Nebula is actually one of the best parts that came out. When I came out of the movie, I really, really enjoyed it because we got a sense of why she is the way she is. Mm-hmm. Like the things that Thanos was doing to her growing up with her and Gamora. So Thanos is not in this movie. That's not a spoiler, I don't think. And he is mentioned, but mostly through Nebula explaining how the dynamic between Thanos, Nebula, and Gamora were.
Well, that's good, because, sometimes when it's all just lights and colors and humor and soundtracks, sometimes it's hard to remember that everything's about character, And so I'm happy to hear that, like, you get a little bit of backstory and you start understanding some character arcs and tidbits that maybe you didn't get, previously. So that's always good to hear that at least they're paying attention to the actual character as opposed to just making it like a spectacle,
Yeah, but visually, like it looked great too, and Ego was done very, very well. I think Kurt Russell was great. And I was about to say something that I shouldn't. But yeah, I love Kurt Russell. I love, like I said, I love Mantis. Her and Drax had a lot of good back and forth. Again, some jokes were just like, wouldn't think that he would go there, but the way they played off each other was great. I loved it. And then when the team gets back together, love that too. And then, like I said, you see exactly where this movie is going. It's not leading up to Avengers Infinity War. It's more or less leading more into Volume 3 than anything else.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. From that review, I'm still interested in seeing it, so I'm looking forward to doing that at the drive-in.
But the funniest thing that I noticed is that I don't understand how we're this far into the Marvel Cinematic Universe and people leave before the end. I don't get it.
Like,
you know there's an end credit scene. Why are you leaving? I don't get it.
Maybe they don't care.
But
last time I had to pee really bad. Last time I saw a movie
that I can understand. But the way this movie did it is that there are 5 after credit scenes. 5. So they sprinkle them in throughout the credits, which I actually enjoyed and they have a lot of other things in the credits which I won't spoil too, because they know you're going to be sitting there watching, and so instead of just listening to the soundtrack, which was great, they actually give you things to look at while the credits are rolling, as well as the in-credit scenes that are sprinkled in between the credits as well.
To take away your attention from the people who actually made the movie.
Yes.
The credits.
Like visual effects.
Well, good job, everybody. I see you. I'm not watching till the end just because there's a after-credit sequence.
I'm watching to the end for the credits. Which, out of the 5, 1, like I said, leads you into exactly where 3 is going. 1 is really funny. The first one is really funny. The second was okay. The third one really is the setup for 3. The fourth one, funny. Last one, hilarious.
Okay. Cool. Well, now I know to sit through the credits.
And of course, Stan Lee has his little cameo, which is hilarious. Guys, I gotta tell you, Stan Lee's cameo in this one is hilarious.
Okay, well, that's new. Great.
Well, if you've been watching the Marvel movies before and you've seen and then you know the theories out there, they kind of...
I don't know the theories out there. Well, I guess that's a review for another time.
Absolutely. So, guys, this was... so my score out of 10, I would give it based on like I said, the humor was good, so felt a little forced. It has some pacing problems. Based on that, I'm going to give it... If I had to give the first of Guardians, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. This one, I would give maybe a 7 out of 10.
Okay, so...
Still really enjoyed it.
Just not as
very,
good.
very good. But when you compare it to the second one, when you compare it to the first one, just not as good. But if it's standing on its own, which it can, it's still very, very enjoyable. Laughed out loud dozens of times. But again, like the pacing, wouldn't say I was bored, but until the third act, I was just like, all right, well, it's funny, but like, what are we doing?
What are we doing, guys?
What are we doing? But
guarding the galaxy.
Really, well, they did. They spoiler alert, they saved the galaxy.
Oh no! All right, cool. Well, thank you for that review, Sean. I'm going to go see the movie, and I'll probably be in the comments once I've seen it as well. So you guys, if you've seen the movie already, let us know what you think. It won't be spoiling it after a few days from now because I'm going to see it. So,
but try not to spoil it for anybody else who hasn't seen it. Obviously, I know the majority are going to see it opening weekend.
We'll just delete your comment if you do. No, I'm kidding.
Well, just don't give us a reason to. Just keep everything non-spoiler, and we should be good. But until the next movie, we're going to keep doing reviews as well as we've been doing the pop previews. We're going to start reviewing movies and TV shows as least as one of us has watched them, and we're going to bring in other people to do those as well as we go further and further along.
Alrighty, so thanks again. Start the combo below. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow us, all that stuff. My name's Alex.
I'm Sean.
We'll see you next time.